Good evening, everybody. Okay. My stream is broken again, because of course it is. But, until things come back, I don't know why my overlay vanished. I don't know why it always does that. But good evening, friends. Ah, there it is. It's good to see you all. On this lovely evening. As you can probably hear, I'm feeling just a little bit under the weather. I had a bit of a cold last week, the end of last week. So I'm just a little bit, still getting over that just a little bit, but I'm doing alright otherwise. Let's see, we got Garrett, we got Ray, we got Scott, we got Adam. Adam's here for a little while. But yeah, it's good to excuse me, good to see you all. Ray, Adam, I hope you guys had a lot of fun out at the Colorado RPM with the freelance forum and everything. It seemed like it was a lot of fun. I'm more than a little jealous that I didn't get a chance to get out there for that. But hopefully that becomes a recurring thing, or at least semi-recurring. Because I would love to get out there for that sometime. Yeah, not to redo your audio. Yeah, I'm sorry that your audio is cutting in and out. I thank you for bringing us, at least somewhat bringing us out to the event. It was really cool to tune in, at least for a little while. And, see all the beautiful models people had, see all the great layouts that were there. So thanks for doing what you could to, bring us out there for that. Back at Island Grove, October 17th and 18th next year. Awesome. I'm going to try to get out there for that, and we will see. A lot of it's going to depend on, well, what does my life look like when we get there? What my life's going to be like at that point. But hopefully, I will be able to, I'll be able to join you guys. Okay. Nobody knows for sure. Nobody either. No buddy or no body. Yeah. But, in any case, I mean, even if it's not the freelance forum, I might try to make it out there for the... Someone needs to remind me during the week to look into the Stream Elements bot guy. Because I don't know what his deal is, and I keep forgetting to look at him. But yeah, I want to try and get some more RPMs this upcoming year. I'm almost certainly gonna, at the very, if nothing drastic changes about where I'm located and everything, I plan on being at the Rochester RPM in February. I will almost certainly be excuse me, at the NERPM in May, question mark? I think that's the month that it is. Oh, Jesus. I might need to step away for a minute here. My blood sugar has plummeted for no reason whatsoever. So I may need to step away for a second and grab some juice.
Okay.
I'm on it. I'm going to get some juice.
Are you streaming?
Yeah. That works. Thank you. We got a special delivery here of buttercream icing. I made some. I'll let her know you say hi, Ray. But I made a cake for my dad's birthday. My dad's birthday is today, so I made a cake. It was 3 times as large as it really should have been. But the upside to that is there will be cake for forever here, or at least until it goes stale. And I've got a big bowl of some scraps of leftover buttercream, so that will bring my blood sugar up real quick. But while I'm slowly working on bringing my blood sugar up with this, Adam got to run both his Shikishima and the Amtrak California Zephyr set on the Fremo N layout. I saw that the Fremo N layout looked awesome, Adam. I know you were not being able to see the chat during your stream taking us around, but I said in the chat that if I'd known there was going to be a Fremo N layout there, I would have sent you out a couple of my Balfour and Colucci Creek Southern boxcars to toss in the pool for ops on the Fremo N layout. That way, the B&CCS could have been at least somewhat represented at the Fremo forum. But ooh, more N scale than HO. You are right. That does make me very happy, Ray. Hopefully you're having fun in your dabblings into the world of 1 to 160, right? Yeah, you have to figure out StreamYard between the Mac and the phone. Yeah, it's I have not yet attempted trying like remote streaming where the camera is the phone and I'm walking around with it and the stream is based out of a a stationary laptop. So I don't know much about that. I also use OBS and not Streamlabs or StreamYard or whatever. Yeah, StreamYard, that's the one. So excuse me. But I wish you luck in your struggles to get those back together. Ooh, D&H 4750 Intermountain car that matches the one in the Weeds out in Oneonta. Which I grabbed it out of your hands and weathered it on the spot. Yeah, I wouldn't fight Butch either if he grabbed a car out of my hands and weathered it immediately. I would offer it gladly. I would have no qualms with that. That's awesome. And yeah, those 4750s are cool. I have, where is it? Somewhere around here I have the one. I don't know where it is. It's here somewhere in this mess. But somewhere I have my 4750. My D&H 4750 that got converted into a B&CCS, or not a B&CCS, a Genesee, Wyoming transportation car, thanks to Mr. Paul Stamp, which is an awesome addition to my freelance collection, and excuse me, builds out the story of the freelance cinematic universe that Paul and me and who else? My brain is working slow because my blood sugar is so low. Me and Paul and John Farrington and Joey B of Late Night Hobbies. We're all working, and many more. We're all working on building out the freelance cinematic universe, as we're calling it, which is a bunch of like northeastern focused freelances that we're all interconnecting with our stories with. Interchange and Paul's neat, very, very neat SRCA concept, which you can find on Facebook. It's a short line carrier I don't know. Short line railroad carriers or short line rail car carriers of America, maybe. I don't remember off the top of my head. Garrett, if you're still around, I know you're into SRCA, so if you could find a link to that, that would be cool. But it's been a fun little joint project, and this locomotive here is actually part of it, so that kind of gives me a good segue into that after I read what Adam's got to say here. Oh, it wasn't transferring chat to the app even though it was set to that. That stinks. Hopefully. Short line of regional carriers of America. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. My brain was short-circuiting. But yeah, SRCA is a cool concept, and I'm slowly working on some 2005 era HO scale stuff for circa decaling. There it is. Thank you, Garrett. And yes, quite a bit more N-scale on the tables this year. And next trip, you need to pick up an N-scale Colorado Model Railway Museum boxcar, which is weekend after Thanksgiving for the holiday Rocky Mountain Train Show. Awesome. Yeah, someday I'll get out to CMRM. Hopefully, if I make it out to the Greeley RPM next year, I'll be able to get to CRM. Hopefully I'll make it out to the RPM next year, and then as part of that I will get to visit the wondrous place that is CMRM, and spend more time talking with the mother of model railroading herself, Ms. Michelle Kempema, who is a wonderful force for the hobby. But yes, continuing on. Excuse me. I'm mostly over my colds, to be clear. It's just the phlegm that's built up in my throat that's trying to... my body's trying to fling out at high velocities. And rulers, yes. Your rulers are awesome. Here's mine. I've used it quite a bit. My sugars they're coming back up. They're coming back up. They plummeted, and now they're slowly working their way back up, thanks to this beautiful buttercream that I'm finding very tasty. Goodness. Yeah, Sam. Good to see you, Sam. Thanks for stopping in to say hi. I'm about to start working on these details galore that I have here. 2 podcasts in the chat, indeed. I'm glad your rulers went over great, Adam. They're a great tool. I actually need to utilize mine more. I need to get more cars up to weight standards. But hopefully the What's Neat guys appreciate it as much as I do, because it is an excellent tool, and I'm glad you made it, man. And I'm glad that it's a big hit, because it deserves to be. It's a very useful, because that was one of my biggest gripes with, one of the biggest things holding me back from bringing cars up to weight is I've got to go and I've got to find the weight table through all of the, the recommendations and stuff. But it makes it so easy. And no one came to trade in. Oh, well, that's good. At least everyone's got their good stuff. Closet Branch. I don't want to lose you in the chat. Welcome to the stream, my friend. All right. So, let's get to work on this guy. So last week, largely what we did was strip down all of the paint off of this model, and get the notch filed out for the gong nose, or gong bell that goes on the nose. I've confirmed now that is pretty much the right depth. It's about 6 scale inches, which, thanks to Paul, I now know is about accurate. In between the streams, I went ahead and added a bunch of details. So I added in all of the grabs, all the grab irons. Let me get something to put behind. Oh, actually, if I clear this, maybe it'll help. Yeah, you can kind of see now. I've got all the grab irons on there. Ah, there it is. All the separately applied grabs. BLMA parts on the nose, on the top of the nose, and on the rear of the locomotive. I added this rounded grab. I actually made from scratch out of some 28 gauge jewelry wire, which I picked up at Hobby Lobby for fairly cheap. You know, big old spool of it, and it's been very useful. But yeah, because the detailing part I had is really just it was really meant more for, I think, freight cars that have 15-inch grabs. But the EMD locomotives, most of them had 15-inch grabs on the locomotive, so I'm glad to use it. But it didn't have the rounded bit on for the rear of the locomotive, so I made it out of some jewelry wire, and it came out very nice. I'm very happy with it. I also put on made from scratch a couple of sunshades over the cab windows. Oh, yeah. I don't know, Heath. When is this dentist guy going live? I don't know. Some must be having some technical difficulties or something. How do I strip paint on an N-scale engine? Same way you do any other scale. Give it a nice 91% alcohol bath, 91% isopropyl alcohol bath overnight, and give it a good scrubbing with a toothbrush. And that's really all it takes. Although with Kato locomotives, it takes a lot more effort to get the excuse me, get the paint off. Luckily, I had already stripped this down to bare plastic and painted it, so it was fairly easy to get the paint off of this guy, because I was just removing my already existing paint scheme to make it improved. Glad to have you here, by the way, Heath. Yeah, Sam, Heath is a jokester. If you don't know Mr. Human City Junction himself, Heath, he enjoys some good sarcasm, which who amongst us does not, to be fair. But yes, Heath is a silly man, that he is. Yeah, that's true. The internal parts would get damaged if they are wet. That's true. You don't want to, fry any of the delicate electronics in your body there, Heath. Yeah, blame Heath for the audio issues. But so tonight on the table we have a bazillion detail parts, only some of which we're actually going to be able to use tonight, because some of these are for finishing. But the main things we are going to try to do tonight is get the nose, the gong bell on the nose mounted. And these are J&J Trains details. I'm going to replace all of these molded in fans with Atlas BLMA fan parts. Or at least most of them. I think I have... Oh, no, I do have 5. Perfect. That's what I thought I had 5 with this, but I couldn't see the one behind the sticker. But yeah, so 5. 5 fans. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grills that need to be replaced. And then I'm going to be putting on some lift rings on the locomotive. And then if we have time, after all of that, I'll also use this Trainworks EMD Pilot dress-up kit to improve the Pilot. The other detail parts we have here are more Atlas BLMA stuff. We have windshield wipers and wind deflectors, both of which are going to go on after paint. And the Detail Associates 8222 flashers, beacon lights, which I already have the LED installed and the hole drilled in the cab roof, and I've test fit the beacon and it looks great. So once we are done painting, all three of these will be able to go on once that's painted, decaled, and ready to go. Sam, thanks for stopping in. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm glad to have you. Am I ever going to get rid of this cough? It's been at least since summer. So I've had it on and off. So to be clear, Heath, it went away. I had it over the summer. It went away for the most part. Every now and again I have some coughs just because I have a post-nasal drip issue, which eventually I'll get dealt with at some point. But last week I had a cold, and the cough is remnants of that cold. It's going away. Hopefully by next week it will be gone. But I'm trying, Heath. Doing my best here. Excuse me. Yeah, all excuses indeed. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is get these fans drilled out. Oh, jeez, hello. Lots of laughter. I'm glad someone finds me funny. Not sure what I never have known what the deal is with all of those little pop-up reactions. I don't know what's what I don't know how to use them. I don't know what's the point of them. I don't really know about them. But they exist, and you're more than welcome to use them. So I'm glad that some of you find me funny out there. Alright, so we're gonna get started on these Atlas BLMA fans. Mounting instructions. Okay, we will start there. Remove all parts. I don't know why I'm trying to get this sticker off. I'm working desperately to get this sticker off. I don't know why. I'm taking the whole thing out of the bag and throwing away the bag here in a second anyway. Let's see, how's the sugar level doing now? It's still slowly climbing. I might need to have some more buttercream. What a shame. Actually, I should definitely have some more buttercream. So here's what we have out of the bag. Excuse me, out of the bag. We have 5 fans, 5 grills, and 5 like mounting post ring things. I'm not really sure. What's number 57 right now? Not too great, but it's climbing. It was at 49. So your numbers have gone up at the mention of buttercream. Oh, jeez. Yeah. It's a problem. Oh, there we go. 63 now. Really getting up there. Yeah. Type 1 diabetes. Would not recommend. I just had a couple of big old munches of buttercream. I don't want to send it too high, so we'll start with that and see where we wind up. So let's read these mounting instructions here. Thank you for your purchase. You're welcome, Atlas. Remove all parts from the etched metal frame with a sharp hobby knife. Be careful. Well, I don't need to be careful. That's silly. Darren, good to have you here, my friend. Glad you made it. I'm working on getting the grills, all the fans and grills and everything replaced with BLMA Atlas details here. Kyle, good to see you. If you ever figure out a way to get rid of the cough, let you know. You've had yours since the 2020 problem child. Ah, jeez. Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry to hear that. And same to you. If you ever figure out a way to get rid of it, let me know. I'd love to. $1.62. Forgot your insulin this morning. Yeah, I mean it's a little high. It's not as high. It's all things considered. It's not terrible, you know. But yeah, that would do it. But yeah, so we're working on getting the grills replaced here, fans and grills and everything. So our fans use the existing fan housings on your shell, and thus you must hollow them out. Okay. To hollow out the center of the fan, drill a series of small holes inside of the outer edge and connect them by cutting through the hole sides until you've literally cut out the center of the fan. Fire the edge until smooth. Okay. I can do that. That is doable. I'm going to use this bit here. That's honestly that's a lot easier than I thought it was. I thought I was going to have to find a diameter of drill that was the same diameter as the fan, and I was like, I don't even know about that. Stop thinking, Vicky. I think it would help. Here it is, almost 2026. Yeesh. Sorry to hear that. Oh, I should... Before I start drilling into the shell here, I should probably remove the shell from the locomotive so I don't drill through my decoder. That would probably not be best recommended practice to, stick a drill through my decoder. Not recommended at all. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. That's what I figured. Alright, well, let's get the cab out of here. The reason I put it back on the shell, or the back on the frame here, oh jeez, is because I was trying to make sure that I made this little shield to block the light from the front headlight LED from getting out through the hole for the beacon light, which is also glued to the top of this. Yeah, the cab was like, yeah, I'll go. You can. It helps cool the decoder. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. If it was an ESU, just send it. They would replace it. Yeah, I wish it was an ESU. This is the only sound decoder that I have installed so far, and unfortunately, it is just a Soundtrax, which is not Soundtrax. No, Digitrax. Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. I would like to replace it someday when I have disposable income enough to afford an ESU Loke Sound V5. That would be wonderful. But until then, it does the job. So I'll keep it in there until I get something better. Is basically where I'm at. Up to 70. My blood sugar's up to 70, so that's good. Continuing in the right direction. Yeah, the cab. So with the Kato locomotive, the cab is not really well attached to the rest of the shell. It's really the window inserts that slot into these holes alongside the shell, and that's what locks the shell onto the rest of the frame, or the cab onto the rest of the shell. For how cheap they are, it's not bad, but you don't like them. You have one for a P42, ran it for about an hour for replacing it for sound less. Yeah, it's fine. It's just the sound quality is not great, and the motor control is not great. But it was a drop-in, and I got it, I think, for Christmas, so I used it. You know, if I have it, I'm going to use it until something better. Would have been interesting to monitor Paul's blood sugar during his stream. Or blood pressure. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like it didn't go so well, which is unfortunate. Well, all I'll say is, in the time that I was there, it looked like it was going fine. Once I left, it seems like it all went downhill. I'm not saying that there's a correlation there, but just couldn't stand it. It also constantly would stall and go through the... Yeah, that's what I hate about it. I have a much better capacitor in here now, so I'm hoping that will at least alleviate that somewhat. But I don't know. It'll take some time of testing to tell. Paul, welcome in, my friend. Condolences on your what sounds like a less than stellar stream. This is not... Why is this like... It seems like this bit is dull. Maybe it's just because I'm using the pin vise instead of my Dremel or an actual drill, but it seems like this is really not biting the plastic well. But glad to have you here, my friend. Here for a little relaxing time. As I work on replacing some fans. Oh, good, you've had worse disasters, yeah. That's true. At the end of the day, it's all just paint and decals from where you got to. So, manageable and not the end of the world. The biggest disaster on this stream so far has been my blood sugar. But if that helps, do share what you use. Maybe I'll give it another try. Yeah, right now I have one of the Iowa Scaled Engineering run-in smooths in there. As you can see right here. I used the exact same wires that came with this decoder board, with the little barrel, the 100 UF barrel capacitor. This has a 900 UF capacitance, so I'm hoping that it will work at least a little better, but we'll see. It's going to take getting it to an actual layout and running to help it. Funnily enough, Ted, not enough cake. My blood sugar is low. I think I took too much insulin for the cake that I ate. Whose capacitor? Iowa Scaled Engineering. They have an N-scale capacitor. ISE has the run-in smooth N-scale 900. I think it's 940 UF capacitor. Very, very small form factor, designed for N-scale locomotives. I won it as a raffle prize at the was it a raffle prize? No. That's what it was. I bought it with I didn't win it as a raffle prize. I bought it with at the cash sales table at the Northeast Region Convention. Because it's normally a $20 capacitor, and I got it for $3. And that's a deal you don't say no to for an N-scale capacitor. Ray, I don't know how well it works with ESU decoders. I don't know if it's... like built for that, because it is a, has a positive and a negative contact. It doesn't have the 3 contacts that I think the ESU ones need. I don't know, because like I said, this is a Digitrax decoder, unfortunately, not an ESU decoder. But I don't know. Someone could try it and do it. Yeah, even at $19, I think it's still a good deal, because, good capacitors can be hard to come by, and it's a nice capacitor. Or it seems like it is, but I don't know. Someone with a ESU decoder would have to try it out. I don't have any ESUs yet. I'm going to use my Dremel here to kind of eat out some of this fan. Let's see. Looking for a spot to share them on Discord where Heath can't see it. Adam didn't win anything, but one of the families that came to the show gave you their next train's power bridges. Nice. Very nice. Not a fan of that fan. Yeah, not a fan of this fan, Billy. Or Danny. I presume it's Billy, but it could very well be Danny. Whichever one of you real brothers is out there tonight. Welcome to the stream. I am replacing this fan with what should be a much nicer one. So, looking for a spot to share them on Discord where Heath can't see it. Looking for a spot to share what? To share the ISE running smooths. I don't know if Heath is in either my or Paul's Discord yet. I don't actually know if Heath is in my Discord, Paul, so my Discord might be a safe space. At least for now. He's in mine? I didn't know he was in mine. Oh, that's right. Now I remember he's in mine. That's true. He does never check his own. He does never check his own Discord, so that might be safe. Alright, I think I'm going to leave that right there. Yeah, now I remember when he joined your Discord and then discovered my Discord from there. So we're going to leave that like that, and then we're going to get out one of my rounded files. To clean up the edges here. I would say the NMRA interchange is a good place to share it without heat checking, but I don't know if anyone really checks. I don't know personally of anyone who regularly checks the interchange, other than maybe Adam. It's just, for me, it's just too populous with different channels to be able to really navigate well. Good on them for, good on the NMRA for trying and updating to a new service and trying to reach younger generations and younger generations' traditional homes. But it's just so hard to navigate when you give every single person the ability to, have their own channel and to have channels for every single little thing instead of like sub-threads or anything. It just makes it very hard to read. So, that's my 2 cents on the interchange. Interchange is what you call par for the course. Yeah. Let's get a little bit more cleaned out right here. A little bit more right here. A little bit over here. I'm going to do this one fan at a time. That way I can't screw up every single fan at once. Yeah, same here, Adam. I jump in and just look at some of the stuff every now and again. But it's just too hard to keep up with. There's too much going on. Even some forums I am part of are less populous with servers and new threads and things than that server. But you post to your division. You tried the meeting streaming through it, but you went back to Zoom. Yeah, especially if your division has more older members, it can be hard to teach them a whole new process. A lot of them are already somewhat familiar with Zoom, so that makes it easy. Okay. Locate the part that looks like a peace sign and fold the center cab perpendicular to the rest of the etching. Okay, let's get a peace sign out from this here. One, two, three. Okay. Peace sign, quote unquote. Speed is trying to do weekly shows or weekly chats. You can't keep up with Discord. That's fair. I can keep up fairly well with Discord. I'm in a number of Discord servers, and I'm able to keep up well with those. But the interchange is just too packed. And to be fair, there are some larger Discord servers where I don't keep up with everything. I keep up with a few channels, which I guess I could do with the interchange. But it's just, I don't know. It's just such a hard thing to navigate that I don't really feel inclined. But if Speed is starting to do weekly chats in there, I might be able to. I might decide to join in some of those, depending on the time and the place. Who is Speed? You don't know Mr. Speed Muller? What's Speed's actual first name? Yeah, Discord can be a pain to learn, but in my opinion, it's very much worth it. So here's the part that I don't get. Oh, I see, I see. Okay. This gets mounted inside. Gert. Gert is Speed's first name. There we go. So that's how that goes. Okay. Oh, is he on AML? I don't know. I don't listen or watch AML, so I have no idea. That's also true, Paul. He is a bit more. It is a bit more complicated than it looks. I don't know. I don't know, Andy. That show never really interested me. It's just it never caught my fancy the way Ray's show and Mike and Andy's show did, and even stuff like the Crossing Gate, which I listen to on occasion. It's a good show. I just don't tune in regularly to the Crossing Gate. I don't know why. Okay, the fan. But yeah, AML was never my style of show. Alright, let me... Pardon me. Let me get a nice thin... a nice thin a bit of a bit to hang this fan on while I work on it. Just a quick question. Do you have to wait for an invite to join someone's server? Yes and no, Ted. If it's a public server or if you have a link, like for example my Discord server, I have a link that's permanently down in the description of my streams and videos. And that's a permalink. Everyone can, at any time, click on that link and join my server. Some servers have are much more private, where you have to get sent an invite link. And some servers have like onboarding processes, where you have to go through a series of Q&As in order to get into the server once you have the link. And it's just a matter of how the server is set up. But hopefully that's an adequate answer to your question there, Ted. Where did... Oh, there. Looking for... I have too many boxes of variously sized drill bits anymore. Clicked on Paul's today, so there you are. Yep. Yeah, it's good to see you in there. There's the ATLP one. Yep. Feel free to join that. Good sized little community there. Let's try this one. I'm trying to find a drill bit that I can fit into the center hole of this fan piece here. That way I can have it up on something vertically while I am excuse me, working on it. The Atlanta podcast. That is true. Where did my fan go? There it is. Is this one small enough? Nope, one size smaller, so that would be 0.4 mil. Around the layout podium. Where did... This is the problem with working with reflective parts. I don't know where it went. Did anyone see where this fan went when I moved it? Oh, there it is. Found it. Yes, thank you, Adam. Clear away all this debris. Hopefully that'll help me. Don't drop it on the floor. No, don't worry. That's why part of the reason why I wanted to get it onto this drill bit. Your Discord alerts, but they can't figure out where they're coming from. Yeah, that's a constant problem. Alright, I'm going to carefully try and cant every one of these fan blades. Just a little bit, if I can. Maybe I can't with this tweezer set. Let me try this tweezer. Also, let me do this. That way you can actually see my hands. Dang it, Garrett, stop having good alerts. Or good ideas, rather. That would be a fun idea, Garrett. There we go. Alright, I just had to take it off and do it by hand. So the directions for this suggest painting the fan blades white. Would anyone has anyone used these before and agree with or reject that suggestion? Ray, in each server, if you right click on the server on the left side of your screen, or if you're on your phone, tap and hold on it, you should have a notifications option, and you can set them to off until I turn it back on, is I think what it's called. And that mutes all Discord pings. You paint the fans to match the roof color. I don't know. So, Paul, the reason I want them white is because that's what it says in the instructions. Is that right? Here. You may paint the fan blades white for added realism and better visibility when mounted. Right there. I don't know. That's what it says. So, I might just leave them raw metal. The grills on top of the fans will definitely be Balfour Maroon. Or whatever the GWT crews like to call the color. Something about mud. Crimson mud. I think that's what it was, right, Paul? Or at least they'll start as that. They'll be darkened in. The grills will be darkened in with some weathering, of course. Okay, so there's my... I think I'm just going to leave it silver. There is... You know, I've got all the blades canted now. From Loco's. Just bare metal or match roof color. Okay, yeah. I'm just going to leave them silver. I was just, you know, I was asking because it said so in the direction, so I, you know, figured I'd ask. Coming, Melbourne Coming. Welcome to the stream. It's been a while, mate. How are things down under? Hopefully well. I am working on my freelance SD40-2. Getting it super detailed. So right now I'm working on getting some etched metal fans installed in the roof. Oh, geez. So this is a slight problem. I may or may not have CA'd the fan to my tweezers. Let's carefully extract the tweezers from the fan. I glued myself to myself. Yeah, that's something I have done a number of times, Ray. Don't worry. You are far from alone in that mishap. There we go. Freedom! Okay. Good. That sentence isn't confusing at all. These are, you know, in the instructions, I quote, with the fan blades mounted on top of the bottom. Thank you. Very clear. Clear as mud. Not bad. You're currently building a self-designed kit you made a while ago for a VR rail motor, stopping station, and a plan to rebuild your layout for a full room 1. Awesome. That's so cool to hear. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear you're doing well too. Okay. So now I need to take this whole assembly . Put a couple of drops of CA on the rim. And I have to center this carefully. That's pretty good, I would say. That is pretty good. Clear as crimson mud. There you go. Have a good night, Sean. Good to have you in here for a little while, my friend. I've got to put in my order of my last double to you maybe tomorrow. Well, there we go. That's sweet. Let's see who else. Clearly comes from mud. Bottom of the top. Yep. You've got the space, so you might as well use it. Absolutely coming. 100%. I hope you'll share that on your channel. That would be sweet. Nothing beats the soundtrack sound. Soundtrack sound only decoder manual from about 2000. Your friend got to keep in mind this is NMRA DCC compliant decoder. I can't. Wait. Oh, I see, Garrett. I understand now. Very funny. Now are the mounting brackets in the right orientation? Listen, I'm not getting that. I don't know. I don't mind. Whatever it is, it is. That's basically where I'm at. The fact that it's going to be in there means it's going to look a lot better than what it was, and that's fine. So now I can take one of these. Great. It's great. This grate is the greatest grate that's ever graded. Okay. End scale, you can't see it anyway, right? Yeah. Yeah, Rust Belt / Keystone Midland, whatever, whichever you would prefer. Good to have you here. Scott, have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for tuning in for a while, my friend. Always good to have you. But yeah, Rust Belt, good to have you. Glad you're here. Alright, what is the best way for me to do this? I'm trying to figure out what a good way... Oh, you know what a good way is? I'm going to put out a small well onto that. And now I'm going to use this to... Whoa! Put some CA around the edges. All right, and now come on, you. There we go. Ah, dang it. All right. Let's do like that. And like that. No, don't glue to me. Oh, jeez. Of everything that I assumed was going to be difficult tonight, this is not on that list. Alright, there we go. Alright, what did I miss in the chat here? It also has a warning that programming the CVs can change the programming of the CVs in the decoder. True! True, true, true. Glad they're already fully built. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, thank you, Paul. Yeah, everything but the model, exactly. Yeah, like I said, this is not the thing that I thought I was going to have difficulty with tonight, but, you know. That's one of the great joys of model railroading, is everything can be difficult. Yes, N-scale can, I will admit that. N-scale can be difficult to work with at times. However, in my opinion, that is vastly outweighed by the positives of it, including just the fact that you can fit so much railroad into such a small space. So much train, you can model trains instead of, or railroads instead of locomotives and cars, which I enjoy more. And yeah, I just, I'm being N-scale train boy, I will always be a huge proponent of the positives of N-scale, which can be heard excellently laid out by Jimmy DIY on the most recent episode of Around the Layout podcast. Go give it a listen. There you go, Ray. There's a little plug for you. Oh, jeez. What have I done? Alright. That'll do. Fine for now. Check is in the mail. Z-scale train boy. Nah. T-gauge train boy, Garrett. Yeah, that's true. The scary thing, though, Adam, is that this is now a metal to plastic join. Plastic or metal, fine with flames. Plastic, not so much. But yeah, I got it on there now, so we're okay. All right, so that's 1 of 5. Huzzah! Who would want to do N-scale, Paul? Who would want to go check out the Facebook page of the Upload Express modelers and check out the joys of doing T-track and N-scale with the help of content creators banding together to promote the hobby and try out new things? Who would want to do that? And who would want to thank Sean at Klondike for helping us get that project off the ground with his T-track modules? Who would want to do any of that? 2-rail O-scale boy. Yeah, there you go. You did listen to the most recent episode of ATLP, which motivated you to continue trying an N-scale. Awesome! I am super glad to hear that, Rust Belt. That's really great to hear. Yeah, if you ever want any help with any of your N-scale stuff as you go, I'll do my best to try and help you out. I'm always happy to help. Especially people who are relatively new to the hobby or to the scale or anything like that. I'm super happy to lend you a hand. Yeah, right. You're starting to get sloppy there. League of Just Us. Yeah. Alright, so there's that. Let's get the fan blades. See, now that I've done this once, I'm okay with doing it again. I'm happy with how it how it went the first time. So I should be able to do it without looking at the instructions. Ah, I see. I should have read the instructions. I really should have read the instructions. It suggests using a toothpick to rub CA around the rim. See, that probably would have worked a lot better than whatever the heck I was doing. Sometimes the instructions are quite helpful. Shockingly enough. All these railroads of lies. Indeed, Adam. You are in the depths of the freelance cinematic universe here. If you have a freelance, you are among friends here. So I'm sorry if I'm working off camera a little bit here. I'm trying to keep this close to my face so I can watch as I bend these fan blades, because I don't want to bend them too far. I don't want to rip them off. I just want to get them sort of angled. Gotta run. See you around, Adam. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again for sharing your live stream at the Colorado Freelance Forum, Colorado RPM. It was awesome to see some of the stuff going on there, and definitely makes me jealous of you and Ray for being out there. At least you're showing that it's a real company now, although it's based off of a fiction. Yeah, there you go. Close enough. Welcome to the club. and then there's Billy collecting the prototypes. Indeed. Although, Paul straddles the line quite nicely. So we'll get you yet, Billy. We'll get you yet. Freelancing is silly. I don't know anyone who would have written out a fully thought out story for a 2-product freelancer. That would be particularly silly. Of course. Who would write an 8-page history of their fictional railroad and post it on a website? That would be absurd. Who would come up with a story of 2 locomotives just to bridge 2 different freelance concepts? That would be absurd. Okay, so now which way, because I've dropped this, now I don't know which way is supposed to be up. This way. Okay. I said never once yourself. Now you're the president and CEO of Genesee, Wyoming Transportation. Indeed. The thing about it is, freelancing is fun. That's the problem with it. It's addictive and fun because it's storytelling. At the end of the day, that's what the biggest draw, or one of the biggest draws of freelancing is that it's storytelling. It's in a way it's what's it called? Role playing. In a sense. You know, just like any TTRPG or anything like that. You know, you're building the story of your character, although in this case, instead of a character, It's it's a railroad. And maybe you can develop characters within that. Maybe you can develop, individual locomotives that serve as characters, whatever. But it's it's a lot of fun to do storytelling like that. So that's what, at least that's as far as I can tell. That's one of the biggest, and certainly for me, that's one of the biggest draws to freelance. So, and the other great thing about it is it doesn't have to be your primary thing. Like Paul, he's still very much invested in his Finger Lakes Railways. His main layout is going nowhere fast. Well, that's not a good way to. It's not going anywhere. That's what I need to say. So, he's still very much heavily invested in the prototype railroad, but for his side projects, the freelance adds some fun, some interest. And that's what's beautiful about it. Op sessions, totally role-playing, 100% agreed. 100% agreed, Andy. I would love to find someone who's really into TTRPGs like D&D or Warhammer 40k or whatever, and take them to an op session and just watch them light up when they recognize things, because it totally is. Ray needs to find an HO scale business car. Yeah, I have a bunch of N scale stuff, or a bunch of N scale cars that are going to be the B&CCS OCS train. I have a bunch of them literally right here. Here's 3. I need to upgrade their wheel sets. I need to replace their couplers, and I need to paint them, and then get some decals. I have another 4 of those, and then I have a smooth side car that's going to do the same thing too. And it's just I just have to do it. So may start developing a few standard detail parts guides for a few Arco builds. Ooh, that would be fun, Garrett. That would be cool. If you count your G-Gauge, then you're technically the co-CEO of the Absinthe Todrinka and Slain Faye. You know what? Close enough. That counts, Billy. You're in the club. Welcome. GWT is a paper railroad. It'll never be more than a freelance for your modules. Perfect. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's, this wonderful thing where you can develop a railroad just for a small side project. So, for example, Billy, if you wanted, you could come up with a fictional railroad just for your T-track modules, and run wild with that. And then it's got some good guardrails. It's easily self-contained, and it can be as much or as little as you really want. The RBRT is interested in you in creating a fully freelance model railroad, fictional towns, industries, locations. Awesome. Yeah, besides being set in the Rust Belt, of course, yeah. Yeah, see, and that's the other great thing about freelance is that you can go as fictional or as realistic, as real of a basis as you want. For Paul and for me, our freelancers are almost entirely genuine, real life locations with the railroad alone being fictional. There's some folks who create, use real railroads and have fictional towns. There's some people who have a combination therein. It's awesome. There's all this potential and all these possibilities. Your entire layout's going to be freelance. Painting up rolling stock and engines will definitely be an interesting end skill, mainly the decaling part. It is a little difficult. Because you know, it takes some patience and it takes some fine motor skills, but it is far from impossible. I mean, where is it? Come on, where's the super decaled one? It's not easily accessible right now, but you know, 100% done by me. All these decals, every little decal on here, I did. You know, it's it's far from impossible, and it just requires some practice. Dennis West Island Club has actually let you come back despite your our last / role playing session. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I'm glad they you know, allowed you to come back. I'm like, I don't think the club would have an issue with any of us. Dave Barrazzo, on the other hand, he might have had an issue with you and me, but it's weird because you started your current layout as being proto freelance, and then it kept getting closer and closer to prototype till you gave in. Yeah, and then, you know, that's fair. And I'm kind of thinking my next layout might lean that direction anyway. My next layout, not counting rebuilding the current layout that I have, because that's still in the cards and that's still something I plan on working on. But it's going to be basically the same layout, just rebuilt to be improved. But my next, you know, full start, you know, fresh layout, new, you know, fresh design and everything, is going to be based on the Poughkeepsie Hospital branch in Poughkeepsie, New York. And you know, the further and further I've gotten into into deepening my understanding of and love of and interest in the New Haven, the more I'm thinking I kind of might just want that to be a mostly New Haven only layout, which it definitely could be. You know, I might leave that as, you know, pure New Haven. I might have some, you know, B&CCS locomotives come in every now and again, but that's the great thing about having it, is I have the option to. But I always will have the B&CCS to fall back to jump back to. That'll still be my main thing for my modules, all my not Fremo, T-Track will mainly continue to be B&CCS stuff. My HO, my excursions to the HO will mostly be, you know, modern era B&CCS stuff. So, you know, having it there means that it's always an option. So, freelance is a spectrum. I agree, Garrett. We'll see you, Sex. It's not, you know, it's not too far off. I find it to be a great way to learn the detailing and painting skills for your proto things. Yeah, absolutely. Freelancing has given me the skills in decaling that I have gotten to the point where I'm now slowly, very slowly, but I am working on decaling a layer cake New Haven Alco FA. I started that on live stream, and it's it's been something that I've every now and again I go back to, and I add one decal and then I take a break from again, because it's freaking hard to get those long stripe decals to stay straight, and I want it to look really good, but it's, you know, 100% a way to build your skills. You're gonna hop off. You have school in the morning. Have a great night. Yeah, you too, Rust Belt. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate you just spending some time in the chat. And you know, I hope you have a good day at school tomorrow, and hope to see you around some more. Always good to have you. Oh, geez, it's almost 11 p.m. Well, I will have gotten 2 fans in, so at least there's that. Ah, shoot. Don't do that. Have a good night, Ray. Thanks for coming in. And, of course, it's always good to have you, my friend. Thanks for putting on a great show always on your show. And for popping in and hanging out with us here in the evenings. Have a good night, man. Oh, come on. I just glued. Garrett, have a good night yourself. Always good to have you, my friend. I just glued quite nicely, might I add. Glued the the fan assembly to the underside of my X-Acto. Dennis, you were heavily into N-Scale when you got back to the hub built. N-Scale Lehigh and Hudson River layout and custom painted all the RS3s. It'd be hard for you to do now. Yeah, that's fair. You know, especially I totally, as you know, as age progresses on, you know, you can't do what you always used to do. So I totally get that. Lehigh and Hudson River is awesome. Love the LHR. LHR and LNE are two awesome companies that I want to get more equipment for those two railroads, you know, rolling stock wise, because they would totally, you know, they continue interchange at Maybrook, so their cars would roll over B&CCS rails out to New England and back from New England. All right, so you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I promise for that now. Yeah, absolutely. You finish your little rail motor stopping place for the most part. You just have to make a sign for it. Sweet. That's awesome. I need my little pin thing. So the big problem that I'm having right now is that the fan assembly won't lay flat in there because it's overlapping the other one. Ted, have a good night. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for your live stream on Saturday. Always cool to see. Always fun to see you work. Have a good rest of your evening. But yeah, so basically what I'm going to do here is, because of the overlap, is cut out a chunk of the ring. That way it won't overlap anymore. Because all of the ring being all the way around is not necessarily to the structure of anything. It's just so that there's plenty of space to glue, but there will still be plenty of space to glue even after I'm done cutting this piece out of the ring. So I don't mind. Pardon me. I need to replace this blade because this blade has dulled down from cutting metal. Put it in my sharps bin. Take out a fresh blade. I have tons of blades, so I'm not worried about swapping them out. This is still not working, so we're gonna go for these. There we go. Sweet. Alright, let's get a little more CA glue onto that ring. No, don't do that. Don't flip. Alright, we'll let that dry or cure or whatever CA does. Set. See, do I have any little bits of wood here I could use to spread some CA? This'll do. Come on. I guess I was a little over ambitious with what I wanted to do on stream tonight. There we go. Much better that time. Perfect. Those little pieces can be tough. You know, you get frustrated gluing on HO brake wheels. Yeah. Yeah. Brake wheels are a pain. If you think gluing HO brake wheels on are a pain. Now imagine doing it in an N scale. Yeah, it's just a matter of having patience. I will say, if you compare these, I much prefer the metal ones. So it's very much still definitely worth it. But man, is this a pain. I think the last thing we're gonna do tonight, I'm gonna stop the fans at 2. The last thing we're gonna do tonight is glue in, or try to glue in, one of these here. Gong nose. Or no, gong bell on the noses. Gong. Having a hard time to speak because I'm getting a little sleepy. Let's grab one of these C&W nose gong bells. We're gonna splash a little bit of alcohol in there. Where did my brush end go? Flew to Kentucky this morning. Oh boy. Yeah, you're probably getting a little sleepy too then as well. At least you're, well, actually I don't know. Is Kentucky over in Central Time, or is it still just on the, you know, on this side of the eastern central border? I don't know. I'm sure you know because you're there. Where the heck did my bristle brush thing go? Hello? What? Did I toss it over here? Still Eastern? At least where you're at? Okay. Well, that's good. At least there's no jet lag, but airports can be a tiresome experience. I know that much, so. Well, fret not. I'm going to wrap this up in a minute here. Just want to get this bell mounted. So looking at shield goes on top. Okay. And honestly, rather than using CA, I might use some white glue. If I have any white glue immediately near me. I do. I just have to pop over and grab it. So I'll be right back. I'm going to grab that white glue, and then we'll glue this nose bell on, and that will help a lot with giving it that C&W flavor. Let me go grab it. There we go. But yeah, this gong bell alone is going to help sell the C&W spec. Because it was an iconic part of the C&W's locomotives. So CA cures pretty much immediately, you know, within a few seconds, and is a much more permanent bond. But sometimes you want a little bit of a slower and or a removable bond, and white glue is great for that. White glue is great for more porous things, so like papers, woods, stuff like that. You want to use white or wood glue because it will like absorb. But plastic to plastic bond, most of the time you're going to want to use a CA because it will bond at the molecular level. It will literally melt the two pieces of plastic together. Plastic to metal, same thing, it'll melt the plastic to bond it to the metal. With wood and paper and stuff like that, it doesn't work quite as well. No, it works fine, but it doesn't like deconstruct the molecular bonds in the same way it does with plastic. So. At least that's my so a lot of times if I want something that I will need to position carefully, I'll try to use white glue, or also called PVA, polyvinyl acrylate. That way I have a little bit of time to fix the position and the angle. So like this bell, I want to be perfectly straight up and down, which is why I'm using the PVA instead of the CA. Oh, shoot, upside down. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully all of that rambling helped you at least somewhat, Billy. Do I use plastic weld at all or just CA? I usually just use straight CA. I actually, a lot of times what I'll get is, actually, is this CA or is this some other super glue? Yeah, this is CA. So this is what I will get a lot of times. And this I just get at Hobby Lobby. And I like it because it's thin, so it runs very well. It'll get down through cracks. It will, you know, it doesn't take a lot to get it to come out of the bottle and stuff. And I actually, as you can see, I pour that into a little bottle like this that has a thin little nozzle. And then occasionally you'll have to replace the nozzle because sometimes it'll get clogged up with dried CA. But, that's what I usually use. Either that, or sometimes I'll use just like Gorilla Glue, Super Glue, instead of CA, because it functions on more surfaces. CA, especially thin CA, will not bond to some surfaces. So some plastics it won't stick to. And it won't let anything really attach. I don't know if I've ever used plastic weld. I think it's fine. Honestly, I think plastic weld probably is some form of cyanoacrylate, CA. So it's probably just like a specific blend. But I don't know. I've never used personally. I've never used plastic weld. I've heard good things about it. I've just never personally used it. So, all right. Well. Seeing as it is now 11:15, I am satisfied saying that is going to be a stream. We're going to wrap it right there. So, we got 2 fan grills in. We got the gong nose on, the gong bell on the nose on there. So that is super, super helpful. Should invest in some deluxe materials glue debonder. Okay, I will look into that. I gotta look into a bunch of deluxe material stuff. I know they have some good products. I just don't have any of them yet. But yeah, I would say that was a successful stream. I'm gonna keep working on these fans throughout the week, and I'm going to try and get the lift rings on this week as well. And then next week, we will see where we're at, but hopefully by next stream. Well, here's the thing. So next stream, I will either be doing the pilot details and maybe some basic painting. We'll see. I don't know. I've never done painting on stream, so I might do the pilot details and then weather a boxcar or something. I don't know. But I'll either do that or it'll be painted and this will be on pause until I get the decals, which I'm hoping will be here by next week. I'm putting in the order tomorrow. I just gotta finish up one more thing to fill out the decal sheet. That way I have a nice, you know, I'm making the most of the order. But we'll see where we get. I will keep updating in my Discord server. Link down in the description below. Also scroll up in the chat. Both Paul and Garrett posted it. So go check that out if you want to follow in. Don't worry, Komang. It's good to have you here regardless. I'm here every Monday night 9 Eastern. So that's probably, it's like Tuesday, like, what is that, like 10 or 11 a.m. for you in down under? Whenever it is, weekly. So hopefully that works again for you to pop in sometime again. So good to have you. Adam, Billy, thanks for sticking around through the stream. Everyone else who topped in, thanks for coming. I hope you all enjoyed the stream tonight. We're making great progress on this model. I'm very excited to continue on working with it with y'all. So have a good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next track.